Welcome to the Heart of Giving. As you know, this program is about nonprofits, the wonderful organizations in the city of Long Beach that give our city a good soul. It's a part of our city that is sometimes not recognized. And I'm so glad we have the opportunity to talk to some of the nonprofits in our community. And today we have one who's been so vital in the community of Long Beach, and it is called the Ronald McDonald House, which I'm sure you understand and know what that is, even without me telling you. And today we have Sherry Basley, who is the executive director on site, there all the time, I think. And of course, this guy, Randy Gordon. And Randy Gordon is, in addition to other things that he does in the city, is the executive director, no, the president. You're the executive director. You're the president, the president of the board, but you've been on it from the very beginning, haven't you?
For 9 years, Beverly.
That's gone fast, really. But when it's 9 years, and how long has it been open?
We're celebrating our 5-year anniversary this month.
Okay, so that means that 4 years were spent raising the funds?
Right, raising the money and getting the house built and going out and searching for the best executive director that we could find, and we got her.
Well, it's become such a strong force in the community in so many ways because so many people are involved with it. So let's just start at the beginning. 9 years ago, you and
Ron Piazza
okay.
cornered me and asked me to be on the board.
Okay.
I had not heard much about the Ronald McDonald House. I had heard a rumor that they might build one. Mm-hmm. And based on my friendship with Ron, and I had so much respect for him, and I'd heard so many wonderful things about the charity, mm-hmm. I obviously said yes. And it was the best decision I ever made. I love this charity.
Yeah, I can tell. I think you talk to me about it every time I talk to you about anything else.
Pretty much.
About where we are. So you've been involved and you raised the funds, and how did the city help you? Did they help you by finding a place for it, or the hospital did? Or
well,
what?
interesting, the city actually had a location not too far from the hospital down the street mm-hmm. that they were willing to give us the land. Uh-huh. And thanks to Dr. Mel Marks, he found out about the apartment complex on the campus of Memorial Hospital mm-hmm. that they really weren't using. They used to use it to bring nurses in when they had a nurse shortage. They'd bring them in as far away as Texas, and they would stay there. Mm-hmm. And it was the typical apartment complex like when I grew up and I was a teenager, had a pool in the middle, stairway at each end, no elevator in those days. And they basically gave us that property, mm-hmm. and we got a one-year lease for 50 years.
Marvelous.
It's a great location.
That's
just
great.
Across the parking lot from Miller's Children's Hospital.
Okay, and what the facility itself, how many people can be in there, and
I'm going to let Sherry tell you that, Beverly.
Okay, that's good.
Question. Well, I will say we're serving more families each year. This year to date, we've served over 730 families, and as we're here...
This year, 730 families?
Yes.
And they can stay for 1 day or how long?
That's correct. The average length of stay is between 9 and 11 days, but we have some families that stay considerably longer. We have 23 guest rooms, and while Randy and I are chatting with you here today, all of them are full.
Is that right?
We have, I'd love to share just quickly a wonderful thing when the house is full and families are continued to be referred and need us. We talked together, the board and I talked together early on in our first year, and we never wanted to turn a family away. So when the house is full, some of our amazing community partners at the big hotels will put up a family in their hotel at no cost to the family and no cost to the Ronald McDonald House. And then as soon as a room is available, we'll welcome them back.
That's marvelous. And
it really is.
And do families of more than husband and wife, do they bring other children?
Yes.
Is that right?
Oftentimes siblings stay, and we love to call our house a home away from home. That provides a lot of comfort. We're much more than just a house. We have a beautiful, I think I mentioned we have 23 guest rooms. We have a beautiful common room, living room. We have a very large kitchen, beautiful dining room, large outdoor garden with built-in barbecues, a children's playroom, a lot of space for families to get to know one another, talk about their circumstances. The house itself really is this beautiful blend of people that before their children were diagnosed with a critical illness may not have ever seen the need coming. And these families can spend time together and receive comfort and care, relax, and
Well, a typical family there, let's say husband and wife, and their child is in Memorial Children's, Miller's Children's. And what would they spend the day with their children?
oftentimes the family is at the hospital during the day. It really depends on the child's treatment. There are also some occasions where the child is well enough that the child can stay on property at the Ronald McDonald House. An example would be a child that's receiving chemotherapy, and their treatments may be a couple of days, and then they may need a break. And their home, while it might be in Long Beach, we serve a lot of families outside of our community. LA County is the largest county, but we oftentimes, as a matter of fact today, we have a family who Randy's met. Randy might want to share a little bit about meeting Ian, but Ian and his mom are staying with us from Mexico. Ian is 10, and he has just a few days ago received a prosthetic leg, which he now needs to receive therapy and get used to it before they travel home. We have another really interesting scenario where a single dad is with us from Brazil. He had a surrogate deliver twins at Miller Children's, so while they're doing well, they were preemie, and he's here on his own from Brazil because there was a great surrogacy program here, and Miller was the best hospital for the twins to be born in.
We even had a family from Guam, and we had a family from Italy. So it's an international city to Long Beach, and Memorial has the kind of services that many of these families from other countries need, these types of services. So it's really enjoyable. The little Italian redhead girl was just delightful. And she mentioned Ian, the 10-year-old, who's been hopping around the house on one leg. A funny story, there was some other brothers and sisters of children in the Millers, and they were about the same age as Ian, and they were holding their leg up, and they were hopping around with him.
Yeah.
So some
Make
great
them
stories.
feel comfortable. Oh, yeah. Well, at the house, I know you provide the time goes so fast, but I know you provide the home. But I know many organizations in the community help at Ronald McDonald, like dinners. How do they help? How do other people help?
It's a great question. We have a very robust meal program. Again, I'll mention that Randy and his family have actually come and prepared a meal, and many community partners either come to the house and cook a meal, a dinner, a breakfast, a lunch.
For 22 families?
23 families, yes, at times, yes. We assist by giving some guidance in terms of what might be a great menu, and the groups shop for the groceries, the ingredients, come and prepare it on staff, or on occasion, some of the great CVB partners, some of the restaurants, hotels, catering companies would prepare a meal at their facility and drop it off. We're always looking for new help. It's a great way for an organization, for employees to bond together, have a great team experience, see where their volunteer efforts go by sitting down and breaking bread with a family. You can share what that feels like and looks like.
Just the other day, I was there with a couple that had triplets, and they were born 2 pounds each, and they were still in the hospital. And just so happened I had my 9-year-old grandson there who was born at Chalks, 3 pounds. So I introduced him to my grandson. I said he was 3 pounds when he was born. So it's just amazing stories when you sit down and have dinner. You know, you don't really have to ask. The conversation just starts to flow.
I'm sure. Well, they're probably so glad to be warmly welcomed because they're going through such tension and such sorrow or happiness.
That's true. And sometimes I think I've heard parents come back after a long day at the hospital, and their focus is clearly on their child. And many have said to me, you know, Sherry, I don't think I've eaten all day today. I'm so happy. This meal smells amazing. Parents tend to not take care of themselves because they're emotionally burdened, and the focus again is on their sick child. So the wonderful meals that are provided by the community are a real.
About how many organizations in the community, nonprofit organizations, help you?
So many.
Just
I know
numbers,
Rotary is
yeah.
involved. They do it quarterly, and some other organizations, Sherry.
Maybe not with meals, but with other things.
There are a variety of ways outside of the meal program, and you're right, many organizations, large and small, many in the CVB, many that are chamber business members. We have a lot of church groups that come. We have real estate groups that come.
It's wonderful.
We have, often too, Beverly, some of the families that have stayed with us when their children are well and they've gone home. It means so much, their experience staying with us and the comfort they were provided. They come back and prepare a meal themselves for others.
That's wonderful.
The other big volunteer opportunity before our time runs out is the walk. And the walk's coming up in April.
April 23rd.
And that's a great opportunity. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Thank you for remembering that. That's a family-friendly 5K walk, not a run. It's in a beautiful location in our very own Shoreline Park. I think it's right there behind us. It starts and finishes near the lighthouse, and it's a fun, easy, friends asking friends for fundraising help for the Ronald McDonald House. All the revenue collected at the walk stays right in Long Beach at our Ronald McDonald House. It's a great morning. It's on Sunday the 23rd. We typically have a couple thousand people come out. It's a lot of fun. A lot of interesting things for kids and families to do. There's a kid zone with carnival games. It's a great time. It's a really great time.
Well, I don't know where the time went. I just know what an asset this is for our community, not just for what the cause is, but also the response. This is a bonding type of experience for everybody, because they get to see results, and they feel as though they're really part of something that is meaningful. So I thank you both so much, and thanks for your service.
You're welcome.
It's marvelous.
Thank you, Beverly.
Yes, thank you
for
so much.
allowing us to share.
Oh, well, I've loved it. And your fundraiser was wonderful this year.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. The next segment is one that is kind of special in a way that you wouldn't think of as a nonprofit, but it is. It's the Aquarium of the Pacific. And they have many volunteers. And here today we have Sean Devereaux, and Sean is the Director of Volunteer Engagement. And I didn't even know about you.
Well, surprise.
Yeah, I think we all know about the aquarium, but the fact that they would have it as a nonprofit with the number of volunteers that they have in addition to their staff is probably new to people. So tell us what you do.
Well, it's my job is multifold, but I spend the majority of my energies trying to balance the needs of the community with the needs of the aquarium, and I do so
in a volunteer way.
In a volunteer capacity, correct. And we've been very successful over the last nearly 2 decades, building an incredibly robust volunteer and intern program. We currently have over 1,000 active volunteers in our program.
No.
And we'll see the participation of between 1,500 and 1,600 people annually as a volunteer at the aquarium.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had a friend once that was a volunteer diver.
Yes.
You have divers.
We do indeed. Nearly every person that you see scuba diving at the aquarium will be a volunteer. We have probably the largest volunteer dive operation in the country. It's incredibly beneficial and necessary for our business to flourish.
Before we start running the volunteers, just say a few words about the aquarium.
Oh, well, we opened our doors in 1998, June 20th of 1998.
I know that.
You know that well, I'm sure.
I loved it.
I've been fortunate enough to be involved since opening day. We serve over 1.5, 1.6 million visitors a year, and we are here in Long Beach to help to instill a sense of wonder and respect for the Pacific Ocean, and we do so by engaging people in our wonderful exhibits and our programming, and in just every capacity that you can imagine.
And you have school buses out in front every day.
Nearly every day, yes, yes. An incredible field trip opportunity for students.
And with these 1,000 volunteers, what are the categories that they fit in?
We have volunteers who perform service in nearly every capacity that we have paid staff serving at the aquarium. We have volunteers doing anything from training seals and sea lions to helping us with fundraising operations. We have volunteers who help shepherd our guests in through our door, providing guest services experiences. And at nearly every one of our educational exchanges in the aquarium, be that a touch tank or an informational cart, those are all staffed by volunteers as well. So a visitor will interact with many, many volunteers during their course of their stay at the aquarium.
One thing that I've always noticed is that when you look from one space to another and are just marvel and awe at what you're seeing, there's always somebody nearby to tell you more about it.
Indeed, and we like to have that kind of personal connection to help tell the stories of the animals. The fish can't speak English very well, so it's nice to have a human there to help interpret what the guests are experiencing, but in a way that is more informal and in a free learning kind of a situation. So the resources are there for the guests to get as much information as they would like out of their visit.
And the things that they see, they're in awe of.
Yes.
And with some of them, you have people that want to sit and watch for a long time.
Indeed, and that's perfectly fine. One of my favorite times at the aquarium is just at opening, when there is only a couple of dozen people in the building, and you feel like you have the place to yourself. It's kind of a special time to see the aquarium.
You know, and another thing I think the aquarium does, in addition to just being beautiful and awe-inspiring, is that you are on the forefront of conservancy of some of the species, I think.
We definitely are doing what we can to help to conserve many of the species that are facing threats in their native habitats. And we do that most effectively by telling the stories of those animals. Currently, we are really active in trying to save the plight of a very small dolphin that lives in the very northern part of the Gulf of California called a vaquita. The story is a rather sad story, but it's an important one for us to tell. And we do that in as many capacities as we can.
But also, where was it? Was it with the seahorses or the, what are they called?
We definitely have seahorses and sea dragons. I think
sea
early
dragons.
on.
Well, I think that there were more baby sea dragons born here than any place.
Well, we do have the title of being the first aquarium to successfully raise weedy sea dragons, and we did that early on in our evolution as an institution.
And what about the back part of the displays? Do you have groups that can actually go back and learn about keeping some species in a tank until they're a certain age, or babies?
Indeed. There's really a lot that goes on behind the scenes at the aquarium. As a visitor and you walk through, you see these beautiful pictures of our exhibits, but the behind the scenes area is just dynamic and boisterous and almost frenetic. There's a lot going on.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of that behind the scenes activity is also staffed by our volunteers. So and those volunteers will volunteer in a husbandry capacity. Our husbandry staff are the staff who are responsible for the care of all of the animals in our collection.
And the type of diet they have to have.
Absolutely, all the nutritional work, all of the cleaning and maintenance of their exhibits. it's a pretty big job taking care of our
And
our collection.
they get the food ready and give them
Oh, yeah.
to the volunteers to feed, or what?
Oftentimes it's our volunteers getting the food ready and doing the feeding and helping their aquarists or their mammalogists to make sure that the animals are as best cared for as possible.
And where do you get your volunteers?
Everywhere. About a quarter of our volunteer population live right here in Long Beach. About half of our volunteers are from Long Beach and just our neighboring cities. But we have a volunteer who commutes all the way from Corona to scuba dive. We have a teen volunteer who comes in from Santa Clarita to participate in our program because there isn't an aquarium in Santa Clarita where she can realize her passion for marine biology. So we really have an incredible diaspora of participation throughout Southern California.
And they are starting a new project out in front.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, we are hoping to break ground on an expansion, our Pacific Visions expansion, which will significantly increase the footprint of our institution and help us to accommodate the increased visitation that we're seeing annually. It's an exciting program. People can find out a lot of information about it online. There's many materials available and additional information, but we will be expanding our gallery space. We have a giant theater that will be constructed, and we're hoping to branch out a little bit into the world of fine art also. So folks can investigate that a little bit more online.
Yeah, it's going to have many uses, I know.
Absolutely.
I know. That's marvelous.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Let's say that somebody's listening and they say, oh, I'd like to be down there. And they show up and say, I'd like to volunteer. What do you do with them?
Well, the first thing that folks need to do to become a volunteer is to apply for a program online. We have so many opportunities available that it really helps us to understand what
To get to know them a little bit.
Exactly. So the very first step is to apply online. If someone shows up, I would be happy to come and shake their hand, but then I'll send them back to their computer to submit that online application. Once the application is submitted, they come in for an in-person interview, and if it's a good fit for us and a good fit for the volunteer, then we will move them into a position that will certainly require some additional training before they get really situated and comfortable in their new position.
And what would a newcomer do first?
We could have a newcomer come to the aquarium and start scuba diving.
Yeah. Without any skill.
Oh no, they need significant amount of skill for that.
For that.
But our largest volunteer opportunity is to serve in our education department, and we call those volunteers exhibit interpreters. You don't need to possess any background knowledge of marine biology or have any real firm understanding of the ocean. All we look for is passion and commitment, and we can provide all of the rest of the content knowledge.
And you have some volunteers that have been there since the beginning.
We do indeed. In fact, there are 28 volunteers who are still volunteering with us who started in our inaugural year.
1998.
1998.
I know.
And some started in 1997 working at a preview center on Pine Avenue.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
Well, I think that also the Aquarium of the Pacific has not remained stagnant.
Oh, certainly not.
The things that they're doing, bringing in penguins, talk about popularity. People can sit for hours and watch the penguins.
Well, we have an enormous following from our community as members, and it's really important that our institution not stay the same. If it stays the same, there's no motivation for people to come back and see us more and more and more frequently. So it is important for an institution like the Aquarium, for any free learning institution, to stay relevant, to continually change and offer new programming, and to maintain that appeal.
Well, the Aquarium has become a strong institution in the city of Long Beach, and I know that its popularity has grown and the number of visitors each year. And also the lorikeet, a bird exhibit.
Yes, it's a really popular exhibit.
Yes, the first time I was there, I left with this signature.
Oh, did you? Yes, many folks leave with a similar signature.
Yeah. Well, and there's water on the outside as you leave, so you could kind of brush
Yes,
it off. Yeah.
it's well placed and absolutely well thought through.
But it's a wonderful exhibit, and the touching areas.
Well, we really try to provide as many opportunities for our visitors to break that barrier between themselves and the animals by having a touch opportunity. Those hands-on things really help to connect our visitors with the wild animal life.
Well, these conversations just stop too soon. Is there something I haven't asked you that you'd like us to know that we forgot?
I would really just like to let everyone know that we do have multiple volunteer opportunities that are available throughout the year, and to check our website for various things that are
Very
open.
good.
Yeah.
Very good. Peter. No, Peter's my friend, Peter Devereaux. And I called you the wrong name.
That's okay.
Sean, it's nice to see
It's
you.
a pleasure to see
Thanks
you too,
so much.
Beverly. Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been informative today because we learned so much about the city of Long Beach as well as volunteering. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.